Welcome to Podcast Done For You, the show where we make it as easy as possible for you to make the right choices to advance your podcasting career. So let's get started on the show. Content creation solutions for business in 2026. It's a question that I get asked all the time. How do you solve the problem that business has to create consistent, sustainable, authentic content? Well, stay tuned because we've got lots of information in this episode of Podcast Done For You show. So you're thinking about content for your business. You know that you need to create more content, you need to do it consistently, and you need to do it sustainably, and you need to do it with authority. Wonderful words, but what do they all mean? Well, we're going to unpack those words, but most importantly, I'm going to give you some solutions. In fact, I'm going to give you the solution that is going to matter. What I'm going to tell you is from the outset that if you are investing all your time in AI creating content for you, if you are investing all your time in getting someone else to write things for you, and it's not you, then you are making a mistake. So what I want you to do is to avoid those mistakes. I want you to succeed as a business, to grow, to become the go-to expert by using content that will draw people in towards you. So let's take a look at some of these terms. Now, first of all, I want to talk to you about the whole idea of sustainability. What does sustainability really mean for businesses? Sustainability is not about the environment. Sustainability is about creating a system that you are going to be able to maintain, not something that is reliant on things that may fall over. What is the one thing that is most reliable in your business? It's you. Why? Because you are also the key to all of those other words. You are the key to authority, authenticity, standing out. All of those different things come back to you. Sustainability means in business that you are able to maintain whatever system you're doing consistently. That's also an important part. It has to be consistent. So, enough of the words, let's get into what really are the solutions. Now, I'm going to point out the solutions that people are falling back to at the moment. So there is the traditional solution, which is employing someone, whether they are directly under your business and a direct employee, whether it's someone overseas that is working as part of your team, whether it is an agency that is doing work for you. If you are outsourcing the writing of all of your content and the production of all of your content, then you are making a mistake. Pure and simple. As much as people will try to write like you, they are not you. You are not just reading a factual news bulletin. You are not scripting something. You are writing what your insights, what your stories, what your take on things are. Because if you are just writing content that is the same as everybody else, that is just delivering a consistent message that is in line with what everyone else is saying, then what's the point? You need messages that are going to talk to the pain points of your audience, yes, but you need it to come from your position. You need to make sure that everything that you contribute in content is educating and nurturing your audience. Yes, more keywords, educating and nurturing. We know this in business, right? That if you don't educate and nurture your audience, they will not understand and appreciate the full value of what it is you offer. That's why you are delivering content. It's why you know there is a need for it. Because growing your business is about making sure that people understand what your business does. It's about understanding that what you deliver on a consistent basis is building on information for people. But it's also about letting people know at any given point about you and your take on things and why they should be using you. They're not going to read everything. They're not going to listen to everything. They're not going to consume everything. They're not going to be on the platforms that you want them to be at the time you want them to be. You need to be everywhere. So I get it. It's exhausting creating content. It takes you away from what it is that you set your business up to do. Just going to the simple outsourcing method, it ain't the solution. The simple reason is they're not you. They don't know the stories that you have. They don't know the insights that you have. And if they're going to sit there and try and extract that on a monthly basis and try and craft things from that, then what ends up happening is you end up going back and you doing an editing job and they're trying to masquerade what that content is, and it becomes a laborious, exhausting task where at the end of the day it's been so edited and manufactured it's just not you. So how do you go for an alternative? Well, the alternative that many people are seeking at the moment is AI, of course. So there are many, many AI solutions out there. And whether you're using a ChatGPT, a Perplexity, or any number of other ones that are those basic level, or whether you're using any number of other solutions that are, paid for solutions that will deliver all of your content, they're all nonsense. And I'll tell you why they're nonsense. Because anything that is created that is not you and is not being created by you and telling your stories is in the end not you. And if you think that people don't know that, you're kidding yourself. I read an article only yesterday about how the trend is moving away from AI produced content because people are sick of it and they're seeing straight through it. They know when it's not you, and those that they think that are getting away with it, what happens when someone actually engages with you directly and find that there's a mismatch between what has been created that is meant to be a version of you that is not actually you? I mean, I've heard some people say that their AI is better than them. Well, that's crazy. It can't be better than them because you are what makes you unique and what is drawing people to you, not some artificial version of what you are. So, but this is not all about being anti-AI. Don't get me wrong. There is a place for AI, but you've got to be careful about how you use it. So, enough of all of the things that are not working. Let's get down to the real brass tacks of it. What is actually working? What is it that you can do that is going to tick all of the boxes? Well, no surprises for guessing, it's podcasting. Now, wait, bear with me. Why is it podcasting? Well, very simple. Now, I've been doing marketing for 35 plus years. And the one thing I can tell you is that 99% of marketing tools that are out there deliver one thing. They're designed in one particular area to solve one particular problem. That's fine, but they don't give to anything else. I think that's an important thing to remember. You need something that is going to be efficient for you, because that's the other big word that needs to happen that's associated with all of this. You need efficiency. Sustainable is only sustainable if it's efficient. Because if it takes all of your time, you ain't going to do it. So here's the thing about podcasting that I think most people don't understand. And you may have been watching this and not even considered the idea of a podcast. So please wait, stay with me. I promise you that this is the solution for your business. Very simple. When you have a conversation, you are having a conversation that is recorded. Now, yes, an outcome is a podcast in every way that you might think about that. It's like exactly what you're listening to or watching right now. This is a podcast. But how do you make it so that it's easy? Well, there's a few tips and tricks that I want to give you to make sure that you understand how easy it is. But before we get to that, I want to explain why podcasting. Very simple. Podcasting is that tool that gives to lots of other things. So yes, at the beginning, you have a video, you have audio, but from there you also have a transcript. Now, what that means is you can carve all of these things up into multiple pieces of content, and it's all based on exactly what you have said. Not being made up, not being remanufactured, it is what you have said. So, what can you get out of it? Well, let me give you a simple list just off the top of my head. There is reels that you can create. So the short little videos that you can put on YouTube and all of your social media platforms and various other places as well. So that's one thing that is easy. And yes, there is an AI tool, and there are many of them, that will help you create those. You don't need to worry about that stuff. Let's not worry about the mechanics of this. Right now, I want to talk strategically on what you should be doing and why you should focus on it. So that's number one. You get short videos. You can also get short audio files in a very similar way, because if you are one of those people who don't want to be on camera, and we can talk about that another time because you absolutely should be, then that's fine. You can do audio-based videos as well. We can get into that another time, but there is a way and mean around that, so you can definitely facilitate all of that. Now, what else can you get from it? Well, if you have a transcript that is of a conversation that, let's say it's 20 minutes in length, you have so much content in that an AI will be able to help you generate real material that is in your voice from that. It's not making stuff up. You've got to be careful that it doesn't do that, but you want it to use what you have actually said and take short snippets from it and turn it into multiple pieces of content. What sorts of content? Well, let me give you some examples. Well, you have the obvious ones, which are posts for various social media platforms. Think bigger. Don't just go down the path of, okay, we post on LinkedIn, that'll do us. No, there's all of the other platforms that you now have access to, because you don't have to worry about the creation of it. It's all coming out of the podcast, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X as they're calling it now, Reddit, Google My Business. People forget about Google My Business. You absolutely need to facilitate that as well and put some content there. Of course, you've got LinkedIn is the other big one. But don't stop there on social media, because yes, YouTube, by the way, also needs some content. So put some on there as well. But go beyond that. There's your website. Lots of different places on your website that you can use the content. Could be under frequently asked questions. Could be part of the About Us. Could be part of your services. It could just be a dedicated page for your podcast. But also, what about blog articles? Now, anyone that's in SEO is going to tell you, you need to look at articles that are something like 1,500 words really to get some great traction for SEO. Well, that's a hard thing to produce on your own. Not if you've got a podcast, because you've got more than 1,500 words there in the transcript. And with a bit of smarts from an AI and a few correct inputs, you will get an article that is purpose-driven, that is only from the content that you've created, that will support your business from that. But there's more than just that. Yes, the AI will help you with SEO and all of those other things. Great, you can do that, so it's going to help your website. But go beyond that still. What about newsletters or emails or articles that you can send out to other people? All of those things are possible. Even direct messaging prompts that will tell people about some of the content you've got. There is so much that can be created out of the podcast. It's huge. We're even creating workbooks from episodes. We're going to create a workbook out of this particular episode. So all you have to do is check out the show notes. You'll find a link to be able to download the workbook and to get more information from what we've shared today. There'll be questions for you to answer. There'll be some other bits and pieces, lots of information for you to use. So here's the thing. Even with this episode of the podcast, if you check out below in the show notes, you're going to be able to access a workbook which contains a whole bunch of information about this particular episode. What's in it? Well, you'll have to check it out to find out. But the point is that you can create it from every episode. Use the stuff that you've got to create things. Why create a workbook? Very simple. The workbook can be used in lots of different ways. One, by you going and filling it in, the details. When you click on the link, you enter my database. I can send you information in the future about stuff as well, because I know that you're watching this show because you're interested in podcasts, you're interested in content, so we might be able to have an opportunity to work together. And by the way, just go ahead and book an appointment. There's details below. You can just go straight ahead to that. You don't need to wait for me to call you, because I know that if you've watched this far, you're interested And why not have a session together? But beyond that, what else can a workbook do for you? Well, there's lots of things. Why not use it simply to hand out to people in advance of meeting you if there's particular episodes and things that you want? It could be a training program. It could be servicing some of your existing clients as well as potential new ones. It could be something you use in direct messaging. It could be part of a post. They don't have to be restricted to just using it on the podcast. There's more to look at, of course. It's not just all of those things. There is so much more that you can do with the content once you have generated it. The difference is very simply, it is easy to produce. It is going to give you in lots of different places. I talk about the cascading effect, and that's what I've just been through. It's going to make sure that you educate and nurture not just your current audience, but a growing audience. It's going to give you lots of things to be talking about, and it's never just about the next episode. Don't make that mistake. Just because you did an episode 3 weeks ago and now you've got another episode coming out next week doesn't mean you can't actually also talk about the one you did 6 months ago. You're allowed to reuse the content. Use it in multiple ways. Keep educating and nurturing your audience. People don't remember what you've sent out. Plus, you've got lots of variations you can create. At the end of the day, the biggest thing that you've got with podcast is a massive asset. It comes back to all those things I talked about at the beginning. It is authority driving, because if you've watched some of the other episodes, you'll know that you need a co-host of the show. You need someone that's going to put you up as an expert. So all you have to worry about is turning up and having a conversation about the stuff you know, the insights that you have, the stories you have to tell that are going to endear you to your audience and be memorable. And that's where the magic happens. So a co-host is going to give you all of that. So going back to it, that makes sure that you are authority driven. It is sustainable because conversations are easy. Think about it. Have a look in your diary. How many conversations have you had this week with people? Lots of them. Lots of them. I'm sure you've had lots of them. Whether it's at a networking group, whether it's catching up with people, whatever it is, you've had lots of conversations. So answer me this question. Are you able to afford to spend 2 hours in a conversation 4 times a year? Every 3 months, a 2-hour conversation. Can you do that? If you can't, your problems are much larger than worrying about all of this content. I bet you can. That's where it starts from if you work with someone like me. 2 hours, 4 times a year. So it's easy, it is sustainable. There is a system in place that then gives you all of this content. You don't have to worry about any of that. That gets given to you. And whether you post it yourself or you've got someone in your team that can post it, or you want us to find someone that will post it for you, that's the easy part. That's just the mechanics, because all of the content is produced. And most importantly, it's not just from a position of authority, but it's authenticity because of all of those stories and insights that you've given in the way you've responded in conversation. It's an opportunity for people to get to know you. So at the end of the day, if you want your content problem solved because you want to be out there, you want to make sure that more people know who you are and why you are the go-to person in your space, then the answer is very simple. You need a podcast. And as if you needed more convincing than all of that, just the podcast audience alone makes it worthwhile. If you think the market is flooded, you have another thing coming. There is 1.5 billion listeners of podcasts per month. Per month, 1.5 billion of them. Do you know how many active business podcasts there are? And I'm talking about podcasts that are still ongoing, and that's what we help people do. But do you know how many of those that actually exist? There's like 225,000 in the world. So now think about your area of whatever it is that you do. And think about, if you're geographically driven, think about how many of that in note space. There's so few of them. Of course you've got an opportunity. So stand down. Jump onto the podcast bandwagon, because it is the gold mine for your business, because it is the gift that keeps on giving. If you work out how much time, money, and effort you spend on posting on 1 or 2 social media channels compared to the cost of doing a podcast? No brainer. So, you want the answer to all of your content strategy problems so that people find you? Podcast is the answer. I didn't want to preach to you. I just wanted to have a conversation with you. And I hope you've got something out of this conversation. And if you want to take it up further, if you want to find out more, then reach out to me. I've got free masterclasses running regularly, so we'll put details of that in the show notes. You've got material, like I just spoke about, that you can access. You could just go ahead and book an appointment with me, and we can have a conversation about what a podcast might look like for your business, why it might be of real value, where you're at, and what is the gap that you're trying to bridge, and how much of a great asset a podcast can be for your business. And believe me, if I really think that it's not going to work for your business, I will absolutely tell you so. It's not worth it to me to have someone come and jump on board and then be upset because they're not getting the results they deserve. So we'll make it all easy. Details in the show notes. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode of the podcast. And please, the share part, really important. If you know a business, in fact, who do you know that's in business that could do with some support with their content? This is the best solution. And believe me, 35 years of marketing tells me this is the best solution for content. We'll talk to you soon the next time on Podcast Done For You Show.